Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank all our distinguished guests here and all our colleagues from across the Pacific for joining us for this very exciting event as we move into the next phase of working to empower women right across our region. So very excited to be here and very excited to join all of you and this rigorous debate that we'll be having over the next 2 days. Okay, a little bit about the Pacific Private Sector Development Initiative, or PSDI, which is one of the initiatives of the Asian Development Bank, which is co-funded by AusAid. Now, PSDI started back in 2006, and we work in private sector reform across the Pacific. So we essentially work, or we have been working across 3 core areas, which are access to finance and financial services, business law reform, and state-owned enterprise and public-private partnerships. In the business law reform area, we've had many successes, but this is one particular success that we really wanted to highlight and share with you, and maybe we can learn the lessons and how we move forward to creating a more enabling environment for women to actually enter the formal economy and raise their status throughout the Pacific. So, just a brief snapshot about how hard it is to do business in the Pacific. As we all know, we're facing a situation where we've got outdated laws, often from a variety of other countries, which have no bearing on the actual realities of doing business in the Pacific. The legal costs to actually incorporate businesses are prohibitive for many companies, particularly for women who want to start formal businesses or to formalise their existing enterprises. The red tape, the time it takes to do it, the fact that people have to be away from their homes, their communities, their families and their businesses, and the difficulty in actually accessing the legal structures to be able to formalise these businesses are really prohibitive for men and for women. And what we're doing is actually working to create an environment in which the laws are actually changed to set a baseline in which both men and women can then start their businesses and run them productively without this onerous red tape that sits over the top of them. So I'm not really going to speak much over the next bit, but because we all do know the challenges for Pacific women, but I just thought I'd do a little animation here to see how each one is a different layer that goes one on top of the other to actually compound the problems for women starting their businesses or wishing to enter the formal economy in the Pacific. So you've got regulation, red tape, no formal structures, lack of support, agriculture-based businesses, less than 5% of women actually own the title rights to their land. You've got, particularly in Solomon Islands, you've got a stat that says more than 2 times as many men are in paid formal employment as women, and limited access to services and to the training and education needed to actually enter the formal economy on a level standing. So that brings us to the Company House Company Registry in Solomon Islands. Now, Company House Registry came out of a request from the government to PSDI to actually help with rewriting their Companies Act, which was completely outdated, to move towards a more streamlined company structure for women and for men to enter the formal economy and register their business. So the next one is a timeline to success. As you can see, we're looking from 2006 to 2013. We've got an ongoing process of mentoring and capacity building, training, seminars, etc. that still continues now. The request came back in 2006. PSDI legal team actually worked towards rewriting the Companies Act law along with consultation with government. That act was actually passed in 2009 and it commenced in 2010, and Company House was then commissioned and designed and went live in 2010. As you can see, it's a very, very long process and there are so many different layers to that, but what's really exciting for us is that almost immediately you could see, as soon as the Company House was launched and it was available to anyone who wished to formalise their business, the results are actually quite remarkable. So Company House was born. PSDI worked all throughout this process with extensive mentoring, training, seminars, local stakeholder consultations, working with government ministries, etc., plus the design company during the procurement stage to actually develop a product that was user-friendly, easy to access. It was free to access from any internet portal, whatever you have. If you can access the internet, you can get onto this site, and also create something that was able to carry people forward into the future and it didn't place any restrictions on what you could or could not register within the confines of the legal environment. And that support continues today. So the question is, how have these benefits particularly benefited women in Solomon Islands? I have to say here that the benefits are for men and for women, but it was particularly interesting for us to see how these impacts have benefited women specifically since the reforms. So, average time to incorporate a business, 45 days to average 1.5 days. So if you no longer need to go to the capital, you no longer need to go to Honiara, you no longer need to be away from your business, your family, other responsibilities. I have 1 minute left. I'll start talking quickly. You can imagine the benefits for women just simply because of this time reduction in actually incorporating the business. The cost has actually gone down by half. It's down to about $175 to incorporate your business. The number of registered business has more than doubled since the reforms, which is fantastic. There's now no discrimination in the process. There's no discretion. There's no way that women can ever be discriminated against. It's nothing to do with gender whatsoever. If you fulfil the requirements, you can start your business. They no longer need any male signatories. They don't need permission. They don't need male co-directors. You can do it purely as a woman's business. So, increased female shareholders, and these are all figures from the actual, from the registry itself. So we can pull this information whenever we want in whatever different search parameters we'd like to do. So there were 600 female shareholders 1 year after the launch. It's up to 867 at 31st of December 2012. So that number's gone up since then. It'll be interesting to see what it actually is now, 3 months later. 815 women directors have registered their companies since the reforms, which is really exciting. And women have more choice about the type of companies that they can actually form. So they can now have single shareholder companies, they can form community companies, which maybe Alice can tell us a little bit more about. Maybe, we can discuss a bit more. Electronic certificates, which can be produced automatically and then taken to the bank or used in any other way that you wish to do. Online filing and updating, and as I said, you can reach it from any internet access point, including the business registry office where they have kiosks with people to actually help men and women to actually register their business. I think it's important to note that there were 2 reforms running side by side, the Companies Act and Secure Transactions. So the Secure Transactions reforms actually helped, they help people to actually use their movable collateral, so anything you can move that's not land, as actually security against borrowing for business purposes for your loans. So you no longer need access to land, you can use your tractor, your livestock, your inventory, anything that you can move to actually get a business loan for your company. And because of these reforms, well, as a result of these reforms, we have Solomon Islands jumping up remarkably within 2 years in the Doing Business indicators. It actually was noted as one of the movers and shakers in 2011. To conclude, we're actually rolling out these reforms across the region. We work in 14 countries. The Samoa registry actually went live on the 18th of February 2013, so it'll actually be exciting to see what that registry actually produces. And secure transactions and company law reforms are rolling out across the region based on requests for government because of the successes we've had to this point. Thank you.